One. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's John and Heather here, and we are about to go live. We're just going to give it a few minutes as people start to roll in. Heather, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, John. I'm so excited. We're talking about being a confident communicator. I've got everything ready. I've got my note that says slow down. I've got my water. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I got my water as well. And actually, I put it in a water bottle today. Yeah, no, I'm super excited for it kind of fits in with the theme of everything else that we got going on in terms of color. Apparently, we like blue, which is fantastic.
I love it. I love it. Always be on brand, right? On brand.
On brand. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Well,
yeah.
I can tell you
Oh,
our
go ahead.
notifications are working because I just got notified that we're live. So that's always exciting.
Yeah, no, and today's going to be a different type of experience. We're doing only 30 minutes, which that's going to be fun for us because we can go for hours and hours on this particular topic. And, it's always interesting to see what shows up in terms of, just people getting what they need from these talks and these presentations. So, yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I see people are starting to join already. We will start right at 12 noon, but we wanted to come on live so that you can get yourself settled, grab a notebook, grab a coffee or some water, and really spend this lunchtime with us to lunch and learn. This is a really important topic, being a confident communicator. And this is a moment for us to all do it together.
Yeah, no, and if you are there, what I'm going to invite you to do, just let us know where you're coming in from. The one thing I'm always amazed to see is where people join these presentations from. And sometimes it's like on the other side of the world, places like New Zealand and Australia. So if you are here with us live right now, just in the comments, let us know where you're coming in from. We would love to know. I know somebody's also there on Facebook watching, and just let us know where you're from. Let us know where you're coming in from today. It's one of the things I like to look forward to when I'm putting on these presentations, because I always get surprised, because sometimes there's always those like little remote places in the world that show up, and it's like, ooh, wow, like that's a reach and span, in terms of who we talk to.
Yeah. Well, what I love about it is we're streaming to your LinkedIn, my LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, all at the same time. So, that reach is there. And so wherever you're coming from, just put it in the comments. We'll be able to see it and call out. So I see Isabel, you're at New Brunswick. Big shout out for you. This is awesome.
Yeah, Lucas is coming in from Mississauga. I know he's home today. Hi, Lucas. Welcome. So happy to have you here. So if you're watching live right now, just let us know where you're coming in from. We'd love to, it also lets everybody else know where everybody else is coming in from as well. And the way we normally run our presentations and these sessions, it's very interactive. We got another user as well from Mississauga. So we got Mississauga, Ontario local, which is really nice. For those of you who are continuing to fill in, we're just going to give it a minute or two before we join, before we kick off and we go. We want to make sure nobody gets left behind. Ooh, Calgary, Alberta. Hey, welcome, Sandra. We're so happy to have you here. We got Felicia from Brampton.
Woohoo,
yeah, it's so excited. Thank you, Felicia. It's so amazing to just see everybody come in. And Isabel, of course, from New Brunswick, and Lucas from Mississauga as well. So this is fantastic. So before we get started, what's the one thing that brought you here today? If you could just drop it in the chat, what's the one thing? I'm always big on really understanding what people want to take away from these sessions. So just drop it in the chat. What's the one thing that brought you to this particular session today? We'd love to know. Just drop it in the chat. Maybe it is just to become a little bit more confident as a speaker. Maybe it's just to improve and elevate a skill that you already have and take it to the next level. We got Corwin from Brampton. Hey, Corwin. You and I, we're going to have to chat because I'm doing this crazy Ironman coming up in 4 weeks now. So, yeah, we definitely got to chat about that.
You definitely need to chat with Corwin because he'll get you in the right mindset for being an Ironman. He's done so many of them now.
Yeah, no, I love it. We got Rosie from Markham. Welcome, Rosie. And we got Pavanjit from Brampton as well. So this is fantastic. It looks like people are coming in from all over. Heather, are we ready? Are we ready?
I'm ready. Let's get going.
All right, excellent. So welcome to the Say Yes Masterclass. This is part of a series that we're putting together, and this is the art of confident communication. And what we're going to be sharing with you today is really tips on how to master the art of confident communication. So this is a very interactive presentation. We're looking for your comments. We're looking for your suggestions. We're looking for things that are holding you back from being the leader that you want to be. So as we go through this presentation, what I'm going to invite you to do is just put your comments in the chat box, and we're going to go in, both Heather and I, we're going to look, and then we're going to bring and we're going to comment and respond to those comments as we go through this presentation. Heather and I are both the hosts of the Say Yes Movement podcast. So some of you are here because you've listened to the podcast, or maybe you guys were just invited to this particular session because we invited you through LinkedIn, but we're so excited to have you here. We're both podcast hosts, executive coaches, and this is what we do. We help our clients become better communicators, better leaders, better people in the way they serve the world. So we're so excited. We're going to jump right in. Heather, over to you.
Thank you. And Narinda, thank you for asking where me and John are from. We're both in the Toronto area. So yes, we should have put where we're from as well, because we are international, and we could be coming to you from anywhere in the world. But, why do we want to share this with you today? What I can tell you is that our clients have been really bringing to light how important communication is, and how, as we're returning to the office, it's changing and there's some nervousness around it. So we wanted to tackle this conversation with all of you, because as the most influential leaders, when you teach what you've already learned, you are then truly becoming a leader. So we do the podcast, we have been executives, we are executive coaches, and we have spoken on many, many stages. So we want to share with you our own tips and tricks for being a confident communicator. And of course, why? Why do we want to be confident communicators? Because if you can speak, you can influence. And if you can influence, you can change lives. Me and John, we have a crazy goal. Well, I don't think it's so crazy. I think it's it's really amazing, which is to impact 1 million people this year. And the best way to do that is to make sure that we're getting our messages out to change lives. Doesn't matter where you are in your career, whether you want to just speak up in the next meeting, or you're actually going to stand on stage and do a presentation. Every time you're communicating, you're influencing, and you're influencing someone that is listening to your message. So that's why we want to bring these tips and tricks to life today.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things that we're passionate about, and really just sharing that information with everybody.
So here's what we're going to do today. It's 30 minutes. It's going to go by super quick, so buckle up. But we want to share with you, what are some of the reasons that people fear public speaking? What are some of the things that we implement in our speech? What's the formula that we use? And of course, how can you take action today to step into your confident communicator? So by the end of this session, you'll actually have at least 3 things that you can do immediately to increase your confidence in public speaking.
No, excellent. And thank you for that, Heather, because the one thing I know when it comes to these type of presentations, any sort of seminars or workshops that I attend, I like to take just one thing. I know you're going to take away many things from today's presentation, but ideally, if you can just take one thing and implement it, that to me has always been a great measure of success in terms of attending these type of sessions. So I'm going to recommend the same to you. Take one tip, take one suggestion, and just play around with it, implement it, and then see how that works, and then you can continue to build from there. So when you think about public speaking, or somebody asks you to get up in front of either your teammates, at a team meeting or on stage, is this the reaction that you get? Do you want to just curl up and hide and just, remove yourself from the world, stick your head in the ground and just disappear? Is that you? If that's you, just give me a yes in the chat. Let me know if that's how you feel when people ask you to speak. Do you get nervous? I know this week I shared on the podcast, I had the opportunity to go up on stage on Tuesday at the last minute in front of 300 people. And that little moment of fear crept in for a second. But what I learned is the tools that we're going to be sharing with you to get through those fears. Or when you're on stage, do you visualize yourself doing this? Having a panic attack, feeling that stress and anxiety? Do you feel overwhelmed? Put a yes in the chat. We would love to. We got a couple of yeses already come in. So yeah, this is a pretty natural occurrence. And just like Heather just mentioned, the one thing that we're starting to see more and more today, as people start to get back into the workplace, the nerves of getting up in front of people is hitting them in incredible numbers. So, for us, this is part of the reason why we put this together, is because people are facing this fear today. So here are some of the top reasons that people feel afraid when they get up on stage. It's the fear of failure. So there's that self-doubt that creeps in. And even on Tuesday, for a quick second, as I put my name in a bucket to volunteer to speak up in front of 300 people, I asked myself, is this really what I want to do right now? And because we're the yes people, we say yes to the challenges, we say yes to the things that help us grow. I said yes to putting my name in. Some of the fears that people also go through is forgetting what they're going to say. And we're going to share a couple of strategies on how to get over that. Or the fear of people judging you. I don't know if you have that particular fear in yourself as you go through this. Do you feel like people are going to that people are going to judge you because you're up on stage? And of course, we all go through that fear. It's because it's in our DNA. It's
John,
one of the things that we use to protect ourselves.
We've got so many yeses. So many people are agreeing with you. And even Freddie's saying, when you're not in your native language and you have to present, it's, look, Corwin, who is a seasoned leader, also feels it. And what people don't know is we feel it too sometimes, John, but we're going to share with you what we do with that fear.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're going to show you some strategies that we personally use ourselves. And one of the things that we do is our live, and this is part of the process that we use to prepare for that. So we can't necessarily erase our fears completely, but what we can do is really use them as fuel. And this is one of the things, even this recently, using that to get up on stage to really deliver that message of value. So using fear, turning it to fuel so you don't blank out, like I'm seeing in some of the comments, forgetting, being nervous about not speaking in your native language. Communication is so important, and it changes how you feel or someone around you feels. So anything you can do to elevate your communication is going to be great. So let's face our fears and rise. Who's with me? If you're with me, drop a yes in the comments. Drop a yes. If you're with me, if you're ready to move on, if you're ready to learn some of those strategies that are going to take you to the next level, give me a yes. And I'm already seeing a couple of yeses already come through. That's amazing. So you're in the right place. I love this. So you're here, you're spending your lunchtime with us, and you're in the right place, and you're going to learn this.
I love it. John, there are automatic negative thoughts. We call them ants, automatic negative thoughts that jump into our head, that fear of forgetting, that fear of being judged. All of those things are real. And rather than fight them and try to get rid of them, we just use it as fuel. So let's explore some fun facts. And you may have thought this before. You may have gotten nervous. Me and John, we also have that fear that comes to light, but this is what we do. The first fun fact that we want to share with you is it's not about you. When you make a speech, if you step on stage or you're doing a presentation and you make it about you, you let all of those fears come into your body and take control. Your ego is what's driving it. You're thinking, I hope I don't mess up. I hope I don't trip and fall when I'm walking on the stage. I hope that I'm not being judged. But that's when you're making it about yourself. And that's when those fears are going to come to the surface. So instead, here's what you want to do. You want to make it about the audience. This is how you make a connection. This is how you create that influence and that positivity. So let your ego go, make that connection, and make that impact with just one person in the audience. When you make it about the message that you're giving rather than all of those fears, the fears just can't be there. They can't be there at the same time. It's like when you're trying to make an impact and trying to be fearful, they don't go together. So make it about the audience. That's the first fun fact that we're going to share. The next fun fact, and this one is so important. No one wants you to fail. Oftentimes as we coach our clients, as they're going to take a step onto a stage, they're thinking everyone in the audience wants them to fail. That is so far from the truth. No one wants you to fail. And here's why they don't want you to fail. Because as you're stepping out of your comfort zone and stepping on that stage to do that speech or to do that presentation at work, they're visualizing what it would feel like if they were doing the same thing that you were doing. And in fact, just taking the step of of doing the speech or doing the presentation, you are actually influencing people around you positively because they're visualizing themselves doing the same thing. And if they visualize themselves doing the same thing, they're making an impact. So instead, what you want to remember is that everyone is actually cheering you on. They want you to be successful. They want you to succeed. And they've given you the gift of their time and their energy to learn from you. So because you have something to share, they have something to learn and they are cheering you on. Now, there may be one person in the audience that might not be cheering you on, but that's not who you're there to impact. You're there to impact the 99.9% of the audience that is there to cheer you on. So remember this the next time you're stepping on a stage, the next time you're presenting at work, the next time you're speaking at a meeting, that people actually want to learn from you and hear from you because you have amazing, amazing stories to share.
Yeah, no, and I love it. Sandra just posted a comment. It's all about the audience. It's not about me. Absolutely. And this is where you really step out of being uncomfortable. And, Heather, you've already touched this. It's really around not about us, letting go of your ego. That gets you over those nervousness, that fear of being up on stage and sharing that message. Doesn't necessarily have to be on stage. Sometimes you're in front of your colleagues at work in a meeting and you have to deliver a message to them.
I love it.
Making it about them gets you over that. And it's, it just takes away all the fear and the anxiety that goes with it.
John, I have an invitation for anybody. If anybody wants to take pictures of the slides, post them, just hashtag it with Say Yes Movement. That way we'll make sure that we'll see it and we'll go and comment as well. But if something's resonated with you, use the hashtag, post a picture. We will send the slides afterwards, but real time is when you want to do it. So I love, Sandra, that it's about the audience, not about me. I think that's a truth bomb that we should all remember. Back to you, John.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what we're going to be covering are 6 easy steps for confident communication. And this is the exact process that both Heather and I use when we're putting our presentations together and getting ready to send that message out to the world. So Heather just covered some amazing truth bombs. Once you start to reframe how you show up, it starts to change how you deliver that message. And in these next 6 steps, what you're going to learn is how to prepare for for your presentations and your meetings. Using these 6 steps will prepare you, they're just easy. They're really simple, and just like Heather said, take some screenshots. Make sure that you can come back to this anytime you need it. No matter where you are in your public speaking journey or your presentation journey, these actions are going to take you to where you want to be. So the first step, let's jump into it. Who's ready to jump in? If you are, say jump in or drop me a yes in the chat. I told you this is going to be very interactive. It's not just Heather and I talking. It's also about including you guys. Sunny Beach about me. Speaking engagement is all about someone else, but me loving it. Excellent. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Isabel. Okay, are we ready to jump in? Give me a yes in the chat. Yes, yes, yes. Excellent. All right. So step number 1 is really putting yourself into a peak state. And what this means, and what I love about peak state, it's not just before you go up on stage. When I talk about putting yourself in a peak state, it's putting yourself in a place of high energy. And what happens when you put yourself in a place of high energy, your fears and your stresses start to drop off. Think about it this way. If you are putting your presentation together from a place of low energy, how do you think that presentation is going to be put together? What kind of content are you going to put together? What kind of creativity are you going to have as you're putting that together? I can almost guarantee you it's not going to be very strong. So putting yourself into a peak state is going to get you there. And one of the simple ways to get yourself into a peak state is something we call the power pose. Now, if you're familiar, if you've attended our workshops in the past, the power pose is a staple because once you get into that peak state, what ends up happening is your confidence starts to go up, your cortisol levels drop, and you start to feel more courageous. And when you get courageous, you do things you wouldn't normally do. So I'm going to show you real quick what that looks like. Just hands on your hips. You're standing like a superhero, chest up. Your back is back and your chin's up, and you're just holding that. 2 minutes is what they say is a secret sauce, and that gets you into an incredibly powerful state. And yeah, smiling for sure. That's going to put you into a big positive state as well. You can see it on my face. it's just it's gonna bring you to a place where you're gonna show up a lot stronger.
And
And
John,
it's
we did this just before we started the live. We
Yeah.
actually had a whole dance session before we started the live. So believe me, these are the steps we do. We're sharing exactly our formula for success.
Yes, no, thank you, Heather. Yes, we did a little bit of jumping around. We got excited, we got pumped up, because that's what you want to bring to those meetings and to those presentations. And you think about it, if you've ever been to a presentation where the speaker had low energy, I can almost guarantee you started to disconnect from that person right away. And that's not what you want. You're there to really receive value from the person who's speaking, or when you're on stage delivering that value to the audience members, you want to bring that energy up so you can deliver your message in a really powerful way. So getting yourself into peak state is step number one. Step number two is visualizing the one person that you want to impact. One of the things that Heather talks about a lot is really taking and then visualizing a younger version of herself in the audience. And I love that, Heather. I've actually started implementing that in my own, preparation as I start to speak to people. I look at that one person who was like me six months ago or a year ago, and I speak the message to them, because I want to take what I've learned and share it. And really, this is what public speaking and communication is all about, is really sharing your experience, sharing the challenges that you've been able to break through with the person that's in the audience. So taking that one person and visualizing them, seeing a younger version of yourself in the audience, is really going to help you craft your message. So you're going to create a message that's actually going to educate the person that's listening to it. And that's what's going to elevate them up. So, and you're creating positive impact by doing that. And I love that. It's just such a simple thing. We just close our eyes. Actually, I'm going to invite everybody to do that right now. Just close your eyes for a quick second. Visualize a younger version of yourself. What would you tell that person as you're delivering that message? What would you want them to walk away with? You always got to step into the shoes of your audience members to make sure that they get the value that they need from your talk. And we talked about this already. It's not about you. It's always about them. So let's go into step number 3. Are we good so far? Step 1, step 2 sounds pretty simple, easy to do. Excellent. So step 3 is really speaking about topics that you care about. And this comes with practice. When it comes to talking about things that you love, you can tell. Can everybody feel my energy? Can everybody feel like I'm passionate about this topic? Is that coming through in my talk right now? If it is, drop a yes in the chat. So when it comes to just speaking about topics you care about, you're speaking with passion. And for the majority of times, and both Heather and I, we've been there. You don't even really have to think about the notes, because it's so instinctive in terms of how it comes up. So think about a topic right now that you know a lot about. Think about a topic that you're passionate about. Actually, what I'd love to hear is, what is that one thing that you love to talk about? Is it finances? Is it health? Is it supply chain? What is that for you? So just drop a chat. I think there's a bit of a delay, so that's why the messages are coming in a little bit slower. But let me know what that is. Drop it in the chat. What's that one thing that you can't stop talking about? What's that one thing that lights you up that you could go for hours and hours and hours on end on when you're speaking about it? So it could be a hobby. It could be the love of travel, or maybe it's a car that you love. When you practice speaking about topics you're passionate about, it actually helps refine the way you speak. Actually, Felicia, thank you. She loves to speak about health. I know you're passionate about that because you and I had a conversation about it. This is where you really start to practice, right? Talking about things you love, you can then port it into things that maybe aren't areas where you're incredibly passionate about. And I think about the professionals that are out there that sometimes have to deliver numbers and data and statistics to their team. And what I did in the past was really think about, what kind of impact do I want to create with this message? The information may not be the most exciting that's out there. It might not necessarily be talking about Ironman or talking about running marathons or just getting ready for a big event. It could be just statistical information that you're sharing with people, but think about the impact that you want to make on those people with that message. So even if it's not a topic that you're incredibly crazy about, it's a topic that you can still deliver great value on. And it's a really simple formula to follow. So that's step number 3. Speak about the topics you care about. All right, Heather, I think we're going into step 4 now.
Step 4, yes, follow a winning formula. There's lots of speaking formulas out there, but we are introducing you to one that we use all the time, and it's one of the simplest ones, but also one of the most impactful ones. And it's called the story, reaction, action model. Now, what is the story, reaction, action model? Well, it's exactly what you think it is. First, you share a story, and you share a story that's your own story, something that makes you vulnerable, makes you John, do you want to? Yep, perfect. And then as you're sharing that story, what's the reaction or the emotion that you'd like your audience to feel? And of course, tell a story, have a reaction, but then you want your audience to take an action. Depending on what your presentation is, might want them to write something down. You may want them to have a goal that they're going to achieve. You may want them to give you money or funding at work. You may want to impact your boss to get a raise. Whatever your communication reason is, you want to make sure that it's a reaction and then an action. This is a formula that you can start using and practicing. You don't even have to wait till you're presenting. You can actually use this in your next team meeting, in your next conversation with a friend. This is something you want to practice all the time to make the biggest impact. And then, the second last step 5 is practice, practice, practice. And when you think you've done enough practice some more. There are so many ways that you can practice. For me and John, we practice all the time. We run our podcast 3 days a week, but there are other ways. You can record yourself on your phone. This actually can be your stage at any time. You can look in the mirror and check in on how your speaking is, what your body language looks like. Think of who you want to ask to give you feedback while you're practicing. There's so many different ways to make that happen. John, I think we're just stuck on the practice slide if we want to move forward. Perfect. Yeah. So practice, practice, practice. Can't give you that message enough. It's really, really important that we're always practicing so that the words just come naturally. Now, you practiced, you're ready to go on stage, you're getting close to there. How do you get your mind in peak state? And John, you have a great mantra that you say to yourself. Share that with everyone right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Heather, I was just recently on stage, and the one thing that I walked through the process before I got up on stage was really being conscious of what I was saying to myself. And what I've seen and what we've coached people on is when people go up on stage or they're preparing to deliver a message to an audience, whether it's a team or whether it's 350 people or 1,000 people or even 10,000 people, the thoughts that run through their mind is, oh, I hope I don't mess this up. I hope I don't forget things. I hope I don't blank out. I hope I remember everything that I'm going to say. What I've learned to incorporate as I'm going through that process before I go up on stage is I'm so excited to be here. So I've changed the language around. I'm so excited to be here. I have valuable info to share, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to impact somebody today. And I just cycle through that. Actually, why doesn't everybody just try that with me right now? Just say it with me. I'm so excited to be here today. I have valuable info to share. I'm grateful for the opportunity to impact somebody today. How did that feel? Is that a shift from what you would normally feel before you go up on stage? Because what I find is when you're saying that negative, Heather already touched on this, the ants, the automatic negative thoughts come in. I hope I don't trip as I'm going up the steps. I hope I don't fall over when on stage. I hope I look good and my makeup or my jacket or my clothes are looking okay and I don't have something inappropriately out of place. You take away all those things and you come in from this place, you start to show up way more powerfully. And this was one of the things that was a big game changer for me when I was going through my presentation journey. I started changing what I started saying to myself. We got somebody saying, I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here today. I have valuable info to share, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to impact even just one person today.
John, this is one of those slides that people should take a picture of because this is super, super important. But we're going to run out of time, so I'm going to move a little bit quicker now. So, of course, we've got 3 tips for you when you're on stage, when you're doing a presentation at work. And this is the 3 tips. Slow your pace down. Whatever speed you're speaking at, believe me, you'll get more excited. As you even heard it in my voice just now, as I'm looking at the clock tick down, I'm like, I have so much to share, but you want to slow your pace down. And you do that by taking some deep breaths. And then during your speech, you want to make eye contact. You want to make eye contact by spending some moments looking at the room, looking at the people in the room, and making eye contact with them. This will help you make that connection with the people in your audience. And the last step, you want to ask for specific feedback. And what does specific feedback look like? It means asking people ahead of your speech to sit in the audience and listen for the things that you're working on. I actually have a few coaches on here today. Lorraine, Corwin, you've both been my speaking coaches. And what I've done is I ask for them to watch my speed, watch my impact, watch the reaction, make sure I'm connecting and my stories are resonating. And then right after I do a presentation, I get that feedback. So it's fresh and in their minds. And the reason I ask for coaches to be in the audience for me is because I'm not asking for feedback after. They actually know ahead of time that they're going to be my coach. And that is so powerful because then you will get the feedback that you're doing. Now, when you ask for feedback from a coach, let them know how it is that you're implementing that feedback. Lorraine, Corwin, big shout out to both of you because you have been instrumental in helping me be the best speaking coach possible. Whew, John, we're almost at the end. We've got some summary slides to go through. Over to you.
Yeah, no, and thank you for that, Heather. And yes, Lorraine and Corwin, thank you for being on the call with us today. I believe you're still coaching, and I can hear that in Heather's, I can almost hear it in Heather's head, the feedback that you guys would provide as she's going through this presentation today. So if you want to take a quick photo of this screen as well, you can do a quick screenshot of it. 6 things to remember to become a confident communicator. Number 1, it's not about you, it's all about the audience. And number 2, no one wants you to fail. Just that simple reframe is going to change how you show up when you deliver your presentations. Put yourself into peak state before you get up on stage. Speak about things that you care about. Talk about things you love about. And if you can do that, you then work on practice. And I know there was a question in the chat in and around how much practice should I put in. Put in as much practice as you get to the point where you no longer need to look at slides, look at notes, and deliver your message in a really powerful way. And then get really specific with the feedback. Work on those little things. And, when I think about feedback, it's one little thing at a time. It's not the big thing, everybody, presentation, how I stand up on stage. It's really about the little things. So the one thing that we know is that communication is a skill that you can learn. If you're willing to work at it, you can rapidly improve the quality of every part of your life. And that's a quote by Brian Tracy, who's the author of 50 plus books, one of my favorite motivational speakers out there. And it was because of him that I became a speaker. So it was really around creating that big impact in the world. But of course, there is more to learn. So would you be interested if we just took a minute just to share 1 or 2 things with you guys? Would that be all right? Just give me a yes in the chat. If that would be okay, I'd just love to share just a little bit more info with you. Because Heather and I, we've been working on a project together. We're going to be sharing it with all of you today. Excellent. I see a few yeses coming in. Thank you. Awesome. All right. So one of the things that we've worked on is we've actually put an online course that takes a lot of the points that we've already put together and expand on them. So putting together the Confident Communicator program, self-led digital course, the 6 things that we cover are part of the things that we've covered today. So learning really around how to manage your state, preparing your content in a really powerful way, auditing your presentation so you show up with good flow and good messaging, creating a pre-delivery checklist, which is what Heather and I do before every talk. We go through our checklist to make sure that every item is checked off so we show up powerfully, but also to address any potential technical issues that might come up during the presentation. We're ready for that, believe it or not. And then really how to have a really strong online presence, and then getting specific feedback to make your public speaking even better. So what we've done, and really this is our gift to all of you. If you're here with us today, we don't take it lightly that you've given us your time to present, to be a part of this today. And we're so excited that you took your lunchtime, your noon hour to be here with all of us. So what we've done is we've put together a digital online course with all this material and all this content. And what we've done is we've packaged it together for all of you for only just $29. And the reason we did that, it didn't matter what level of public speaking you're at. We want to make sure that everybody has the right skills and the foundation to become an incredible speaker. And so we've included a QR code. If you want to just scan that real quick with your phone, it'll take you to the website where you can learn even more about the program and learn more about how you can build on the foundation of public speaking. Now, a quick question. Did anybody take any value from today's session? Is there one thing that you can take and implement in your public speaking today? Actually, I would love to learn. What's that one thing that you're going to take away from this session and implement today or tomorrow? Somebody's got to drop off. That's all right. Thank you. Thank you for spending your first half hour with us. For those of you that are still with us, what's that one thing? What's that one thing that you're going to be implementing? I know the one thing I took away from Heather as I was learning from her as a coach and mentor in speaking is really around speaking to that younger version of myself. Mm-hmm. That changed it for me as I was going through this process. Heather, what's the one thing that you've taken away and learned so far?
Well, you know what I've learned is that there's so much that we have to share and so much to teach. So this is now going to be the Say Yes Masterclass series. This is just the first one. We so appreciate your time, but we want you to also stay notified of all the upcoming classes. So quickly take a picture of the sign-up sheet if you want to get into our Confident Communicator digital course. But I also don't want you to miss out on any opportunities to know when the next master classes are coming. So we have another QR code for that to happen, and you will stay connected with us. We love doing these. We love doing these. So thank you so much for joining us today. You can catch us on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a Say Yes Movement LinkedIn Live podcast. It streams to all of our social media. And if you want to keep up with us, just scan this QR code. So we've got two offers for you today. One, we'd love for you to jump into our Confident Communicator, just $29. And we'd also like you to join us on our podcast and get notified for our Say Yes Masterclass. Again, myself and John, we are so thankful for your time. We have so much to share. We want to do this again, right, John? We're going to do this again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So make sure you scan, get added to our mailing list so you can be notified the next time we go live. And for those of you that are watching us on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube, thank you for spending your lunchtime hour with us. Like I said, we don't take it lightly. You know, the greatest currency that we have today isn't necessarily money, it's time. And you just shared that with us. So we were incredibly grateful that you were able to do that with us today. All right, Heather, I think that's it. I think we're done. There's also going to be a replay available for those of you that want to go through this material again. So that'll be available online. But again, thanks again. If you got any questions, connect with us on social, either LinkedIn or Facebook. Just send us a DM and we'll get back to you with anything that you might have in terms of questions or concerns. All right, everybody, have an amazing Thursday and we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.